Hello, I'm Dr. Budweiser, and I am coming to you directly from the Wiser Living headquarters. And today I want to talk a little bit about a subject that's near and dear to me for a lot of reasons, because I invariably see patients on a daily basis, and a lot of times if they would have had some information, if they already knew this information, they probably wouldn't be sitting in front of me asking me questions about their body. Today's subject is going to be about RDA. Those letters mean Recommended Daily Allowance. And a lot of you see this on packaging that you buy, whether sometimes it's a food or maybe a supplementation that you have, and you see this word, Recommended Daily Allowance. And we've come to kind of like look at maybe the percentages or the milligrams or milliliters or what have you, however it's listed there. You know what RDA is. But when you buy a car or a computer or maybe like a copier, there's something that you get along with that, a manual. And life is the only game in which the object of the game is to learn the rules. Think about that. Our life, when we're this game of life that we're playing or we're participating in, because some people don't like the word play, but life is the only game. It's the only game in town in which the object of the game is to learn the rules. Everything else, you learn the rules first before you can play the game. You know, as an athlete, I had to learn the rules of the game before I was able to participate in the game. And the more I learned, the more I studied, the better I became at that game, obviously as it relates to playing with against other players. You know, every physiological event in your body occurs at the cellular level, at the level of the cell. Do you have a manual about how your cells function? But when you buy your car, you get a manual, don't you? I mean, it tells you how much gas to put in the car, or not how much to put in, but the gas tank capacity. It gives you it in gallons or liters. It tells you how to turn on the lights. You can look at the dashboard or the instrument panel. It gives you detailed instructions on what each one of those things means. And then you have these lights that don't come on. I call them idiot lights. You know, they basically come on when it's too late, when things are already breaking down in your body. And that's why I call them idiot lights, because the manual that's also in that vehicle tells you how to prevent these things to happen. They use a word called maintenance. And you get that with that car. How much oil to put in the car, whether it's in quarts or liters, how much water to put in the radiator. Matter of fact, you can supplement a different substance in the radiator to keep it from overheating, so you can have a higher heat point or a lower cold point so it doesn't freeze. You get that in the manual. It's all there. But most of us, we don't read that manual until something happens. So were we trained to do that? A computer, as complex as it is, you still get a manual on how to operate it. Or you can actually turn the computer on and go to the manual. Because I guess we have this thing, save the trees and save paper and things like that, so they don't actually give you that booklet anymore. But you can get it. The copier, it tells you how to operate the copier. You get a manual. But there's no manual given when you're born. A complex human body. I'm not even going to, well, maybe I should go there. Your brain. The brain is complex as it is. A computer is no match. Hundreds of thousands of computers linked together is no match for the brain and all of the things that it is capable of doing. And you didn't get a manual on that unless you're wearing one of these. You get a manual. We have manuals. I mean, I have manuals right here on the desk. I have a list of books everywhere. But I have to constantly study and study and study because the body is so complex. But we have this three-letter word, or three letters, you know, RDA. Recommended Daily Allowance. What does that really mean? If you were to take a scale, a line, health, let's call it a health lifeline. And on the left side of that lifeline would be, which is on the right side of your screen, I believe. On the left side would be, let's put 0 on the left side. And on that represents death. And on the right side of the lifeline, let's put 10. And that 10 represents optimal health or optimal wellness, peak efficiency. So on the one side, on the low side, the 0 side, death. On the high side, optimal wellness or optimal health. Now, in between that is your lifeline. Now, if I were to put an X right next to death, that's where the RDA would be. The RDA, the recommended daily allowance, is just enough. It tells you here is just enough nutrients to keep you slightly beyond death. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying here. The RDA is the minimum. And it's been something we've been following for well over 60 years. And it's the minimum. It's just enough. Just enough to keep you slightly beyond death. Let me drive this point home a little more. In the United States of America, we spend the largest amount of, and the largest percentage of our national budget on caring for the sick. They term it health care. And some people that don't agree with that term it sick care. But let's put a positive spin on this. I'm saying they mean well, because most of that money is caring for the sick, caring for the broken down, caring for the individuals that aren't at peak efficiency. Think about that. We have not developed a sense of health care. And we're the highest, we have the highest rate of chronic degenerative disease in the world. And once again, we're one of a country that has one of the highest levels of technology in the world. We also are one of the wealthiest nations in the world. But when it comes to food, the fuel, the manual, we're just in front of, just starting out. We're always starting out, and death is right behind us. And we're trying to run away from it when you should be running toward optimal wellness and optimal health. So if the RDA, or the recommended daily allowance, if it represents the minimum dosage of nutrition needed to keep you from like dying right now, then the RDA has nothing to do with health. It has nothing to do with wellness. And that's why I don't really push the reading nutritional facts. Yeah, it gives you some facts, but what do you do with that? So I'm not interested in promoting minimal health. Are you? Are you really interested in promoting minimal health? Because that's what you're doing every day. And I'm not judging you or right now. I just wanted to make you aware of there is another way. There is a manual. And thank goodness that the Creator took a cell and they all need the same thing, basically. A handful of things that they need. Whether that's a liver cell, a heart cell, a brain cell, an eye cell, an ear cell, a skin cell, a kidney cell, or a intestinal cell, or a reproductive cell, or a cell that eventually creates an organ that produces hormones. Is that amazing or what? Do you think you need a manual right now? Yes, you need a manual. But I'm going to try to put it in a simplified form that you can actually act on. And that word that I'm going to use is supplementation. If you look up that word supplementation or the root word or what have, it means to add to, basically. To add to what you're already doing. In other words, if you're eating food, this is whether you're a vegan, a vegetarian, or a meat eater. I'm not delineating any of those. You all eat food. right? We all eat food, whether we're vegan or vegetarian or meat eaters. I don't know why we get into this thing of, well, I don't like the vegan because, you know, they don't do what I do. Or I don't like the vegetarian because they're not doing what I do. I don't like the meat eater because they're not doing what I'm doing. That's not the point. The point is, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or a meat eater, you all have cells. Same type of cells, same DNA. That, you know, when they coalesce, you get the same tissue, same organs. No matter what you are, whatever your title, you still have a heart. No heart, you're not living. If you don't have a liver, you're going to have problems with the detoxification. Matter of fact, if you don't have skin, you're going to have a problem with detoxification. That's just a short list of detoxification centers in your body. And they all start from a cell. So supplementation is the key to wellness. Running toward wellness, that's the key. Now, what do I mean by supplementation? Well, the body needs to do basically 8 things. That cell needs 8 things. So that tissue will need 8 things. That organ will need 8 things. That organ system, gastrointestinal system, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, nervous system, those systems all need those 8 things. The first thing it needs is to be able to have a manual to communicate. Because, you know, in a manual, you have words. And those words make sentences. And when you read those sentences in a particular way, it has to flow, right? It has to flow where you understand what you're reading in order to put it into action. So you need communication, the proper communication. Well, in the body, that alphabet is a glyconutrient. There are glyconutrients that you need. Now, whoever you say brought you here, whoever created you, that body, for some reason, when a baby, an infant, comes into the world, normally, I don't know if they still do this now, but they used to take the baby before they even clip the umbilical cord and lay the baby across the mother's chest. Why did they do that? Because it would start that process of milk production. Milk production. What's in the milk that's so vital? Glyconutrients. Sugars. I didn't write that. That's you can go to the internet and read all you want. Mother's breast milk is sugar. No protein, just sugar. Because that's all the infant needs at that time. So the communication of the infant is taking in that milk, that precious glycose, the sugars, and some colostrum. Amazing what happens in the body. The body just goes through all kinds of like growth, and it's excited and it's turned on. But guess what? It needs to be protected. The mother and the father help protect the infant because the infant cannot protect itself. The cells need protection. It needs antioxidants to keep the cell from rusting, to keep the cell from being attacked. Do you know each cell in your body is attacked approximately 10,000 times by free radicals that basically damage the cell? And you have trillions of cells. And you have these free radicals they're radical. You know where it's like, you know, people that are radical, and the groups of people that are radical, they attack. And so you need an antioxidant to protect it. That cell also needs balance. You know, you don't want it to go too far to the right or too far to the left. You know, you political types out there, you don't want it to be too liberal or too conservative. You want a balance there, right? Well, the organs need balance. And the organs use fatty acids for fuel. You know, they use stuff like beta testosterone, or I've heard on some programs beta cysterol. You know, it's depending on where you're from. And diascoria or diascoria. There's just a handful of things that body needs, that cell needs to be balanced. That organ needs that to be balanced. And if it doesn't get it, then we have a manual that tells you what happens when the body doesn't have proper nutrition, proper supplementation. The body needs to be nourished. And that's why it's been recommended that we all take a vitamin and mineral. It must be a whole food vitamin and mineral. It must be a plant matrix vitamin and mineral. Because if it's synthetic, body's not going to be able to utilize it or utilize it properly, and you're going to have breakdown eventually. It will occur. studies that already prove that. And then there's digestion. You know, you eat food, you eat your favorite foods, you know, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and you have your snacks, and you eat your favorite foods, right? Or you try to eat a balanced food, but the nutrient density is not there in adequate amounts in order to give the body what it needs in order to have wellness or have health. So you're trying to stay away from death, but you're not going toward wellness. So you need digestion, but something has to break it down. So what is that? Probiotics, or, you know, pro-life, you know, probiotics, bio means life. So you need good bacteria. And you can get that in various ways, but there's toxins in the air, water, and food that are trying to kill it all the time. Chlorine, when you take a shower, there's chlorine. When you brush your teeth, you're normally using tap water, but it's coming out of the sink, so there's chlorine there. There's some other things there as well, but you can ferment. You can ferment different, just about every vegetable that you can think of can be fermented, but I know you might not have the time to do it. And many times when you go buy it out of the grocery store, it says it's fermented, but is that life fermentation? Probably not. So digestion, so you need to take a good probiotic and get some good enzymes into your body on a daily basis. Then there's fitness. I mean, the internet is and YouTube is full of people that tell you how to exercise, what to do, what not to do. You got you know, resistance training. You've got yoga to stretch everything out, and you have the isometric type. I mean, you have all of these different ways to move and get your body, get it in a position where you can do what you're called to do. But when I look at exercise, I think of two things: mental exercise, physical exercise. Most of us, when we think of exercise, we think physical. And we go to the negative side, says I don't have time to exercise, I can't do that, you know, I can't do this or that. But there's mental exercise. You need the mental exercise in order for the physical exercise to work properly. So you need to supplement your movement over and beyond what you have to do every day. I mean, you know, get up, get dressed, go to work, come home, that cycle. So fitness is key. It's a key supplementation, add to what you do every day. Then there's hydration. I know. Some people say you don't need water, or you need this much water, or not this much water, or you can put something in the water. Water's water. If you go to a place like, say, like Costa Rica, or Hawaii, or Alaska, you know, anywhere. I mean, I can't name every place, but I'm saying these names because at least in Costa Rica, I see a lot of waterfalls, a lot of water. They really, when they're talking about that place, they're talking about water. Do they talk about the streams that have other stuff added to it? No. Water's water. Every cell in your body needs water. Every single cell. So whether you agree or disagree on how much water you need, your brain, if it's mentally fit, it will turn on, I need water, every time when you need it. So that's important. And finally, harmony. When I say the word harmony, what do you think of? And for those of you that are saying, I don't think of anything, well, if you could think of something, what would harmony mean? What does harmony mean to you? Well, to the cell, the harmony means you need to do everything in order to have balance. It means you need communication and protection and balance and nourishment. You need fitness. You need digestion. You need hydration. You need them all. You need to be doing all of them, not one or two. You need all of them if you want wellness, if you want this optimal, if you want to optimize your health and wellness. You don't want to do one or two. So when you look at the RDA, don't just toss it away and say, oh, I'm not going to listen to it. Just know that what it is. There's a lifeline. And the RDA basically means that this is the minimal amount that you need to hold off, to stave off death. But if you want to optimize your health, if you want to go towards that, as opposed to running away from a negative, then supplement. And make sure your supplementation is not synthetic. I want to end with this. Let your food be your medicine. And let your medicine be your food. This is Dr. Budweiser, and we'll see you next time.